everybody? I'm Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, and everybody's got a price for lazy booking. Hey, this is your Olympic hero, Kurt Angle, and you're listening to Lazy Booking. No, it's true. It's damn true. Ho! Hey, folks, I'm WWE Hall of Famer Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and if you want to know what's going on in wrestling, check out Lazy Bookings. Ho!
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new edition of Lazy Booking right here on A2DRadio.com, brought to you by Gibson Mayer, LLC, your certified public accounts located 301 Oxford Valley Road in Yardley, PA. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. Tax season will be here before you know it, so be ready, be prepared, and call Gibson Mayer.
What up, fam? Niche night, Thursday night here on A2DRadio.com, Twitter, Instagram, Periscope, Facebook, and YouTube. Chrome and Maddie Sinsuti, the Ginger Gang, coming at you live with Lazy Booking. Mr. Ryan Brodo on the ones and twos. How are you, Ryan?
I'm good, gentlemen. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. Our topic of conversation, as always, brought to you by our doctor, Dr. Paul Vidal. 3 convenient locations in Burlington, Cherry Hill, and Princeton, New Jersey. You can also find them on the web, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. Make sure you check them out. No appointment needed, Specialized Physical Therapy. Topic of conversation, the WWE Draft was a success. Agree, disagree. Again, let's talk about it. A lot of opinions have been thrown out there, good, bad, and different. We're also going to talk about the new Bayley,
As opposed to the old.
and hopefully I don't, I've been a little bit aggressive over the last couple of weeks, guys.
Oh, really?
Join the party. Join the party.
Apparently I've made my heel turn back from being a face back to heel chrome. I'm gonna try to harness that a little bit this week because I didn't hate it. Didn't love it. Didn't hate it. And you'll know why I didn't love it either. But we'll talk about that. We're going to talk AEW. Maddie Sinsuti was in the house.
Oh, yeah.
He had his Bucks dollars here.
Oh, yeah, and I got this lovely little A Boy and His Dinosaur T-shirt.
That's right. It's his favorite tag team in the world.
Currently, yes.
Currently.
They replaced the New Day.
You know what? You look like you could ride a dinosaur. You kind of get that caveman look going a little bit.
Maddie and his famous dinosaur.
We just have to, tease his hair out a little bit.
Yes.
We can make it happen.
Maddie.
So I have to get my hair almost like getting that fro-like thing that Jungle Boy's got going on.
We'll do that. We'll get you the Giant Gonzalez singlet, and we'll just roll with it,
Maddie,
baby.
give
Roll
us your
with it.
time for an entire weekend. Listen, we have an A2D guarantee. Listen, you won't be. Listen, we got you.
We got you,
yeah,
bro.
I'm sure. I'll be on the cover of A2D Weekly with riding the dinosaur.
That is a promise.
And listen, it was a new. There's a lot of things to talk about outside of specific topics. So we brought back Hot Tag this week, and we will get to Hot Tag. I will make sure we get to it because we want to talk about the debut of the show with Booker T and Renee Young on Fox or FS1, excuse me. Obviously, Eric Bischoff out, Bruce Pritchard in. We'll talk about that. Why were the Usos not drafted? Probably get to that earlier than Hot Tag, but if we don't, we'll talk about that in Hot Tag. And much, much more. So we were looking forward to chatting with you guys. The WWE Draft.
Okay.
Let's talk about it, guys. Let's talk about the WWE Draft. I want to know your Let's talk about the presentation of the draft first.
Weird. I think that's a great way to sum that one up. So the changing of the structure was interesting. So per the match and result, the show that won gets 3 picks per round. The other show only gets 2.
Right. Because
that's how they were doing it.
And they justified that because of the longer program on Raw having more. They did justify that on the air. But to that, why are we having matches between a Raw and SmackDown person to determine the first pick when we know they're going to alternate back and forth anyway? So Raw is going to win those matches.
And they literally went right down the friggin' draft board. They just went right down.
And
they went right down. Just right down.
And then they treated it like it was an NFL draft or an NBA or NHL draft, and they had actual footage of people in an actual
I don't
war
need
The
room.
war room was the worst.
Yeah, and
I wasn't going to go there right away, but you went right away.
Did you
If
see
he
the,
wasn't, I
did-
was.
Hold on,
If he
did you?
wasn't, I
well,
was.
I think it was the SmackDown one. Did you see the one computer matter had a peacock on it the entire time?
Maddie.
The guy was doing no research. Clearly, this was pre-recorded, but he's just got a peacock the entire time on his screensaver. That was so distracting.
So that was the USA because the USA is tied
yeah,
with NBC.
USA. Yeah.
But it was
I couldn't even pay attention to anything else except for that stupid NFL Fox robot guy.
yeah, and he was in the
And
Fox one, yeah.
it was clearly a
And then-
guy in a Halloween costume.
it was like him-
wasn't even a big guy.
like it was him, and then it was like what's the dude? Craig Stone, is that his name?
I don't even
The guy
know.
on I think it's like the Fox game or the whatever. it
Oh,
was.
I know. Yeah.
The
I
one who
think-
was the
yeah.
Universal Champion, from College Game Day or whatever it is. I
Oh.
forget-
Oh, God.
whatever the college show is
Yeah,
for Fox.
I know what you're talking.
I forget, to
But-
be honest with you.
The one who won
That
the Universal
guy.
Champion. They have him in there, and it was so cheesy. I was okay, sort of. I'm okay with the premise of like trying to legitimize it, so like do that. But if you're gonna do it, make it first of all get better actors. Like
Yeah.
get better actors.
Why is the robot
The
in
robot
there?
immediately they killed it with the robot. The robot was done. Like that's like seeing Gritty in the Flyers war room during the draft. Like, are we gonna see Gritty in there pumping his fist after?
I'll
the
be
Flyers
honest with you,
draft
though.
pick?
I actually want to see that, to be completely honest with you.
It was crazy.
Like, what was that?
I have it on the tip of my tongue. That old USA Network show that had like 9 seasons, and the two like main characters would always be. This is like back in 2009. It was like a crime. It was like a crime show, but it was comedy. Whatever that show is, you know exactly what I'm talking.
Psych.
Psych.
There we
It's
go.
like having the
There we go.
freaking psych people on there
Oh,
for
it
USA.
was so
Just
bad.
the actors in the corner, like, yeah, team you. No one gives a damn. But they
then-
don't give a damn, robot.
What's even funnier is when they cut to Troy Aikman and Joe Buck, who clearly were just paid to do this.
Yeah.
And they gave no shits.
Well, they
when
did that.
were,
They did that throughout both programs, across different networks of having. They had Al Roker on there at one point. Like, come on, man.
And then they had the full Fox, the game day guys. They had
Yeah.
Terry Bradshaw talking about Dusty Rhodes like he's still alive. I'm like, Terry, obviously you only give a shit about football, but Dusty's been dead for about 2 years now.
Terry doesn't know where he's at half the time.
Yeah,
anyway.
that's
It's fine.
true. I think he's never on his meds. Anyway.
It was rough. That took the legitimacy out of it. Like, I didn't even mind the panel, which you would kind of. I did because of the other parts of the presentation. I would have been okay with the panel with Samoa Joe and Renee Young and Booker T. If you want to present it kind of similar how you would with an NFL draft and whatnot, I'm okay with that. But when you throw in the cheesy war room crap and all like these, we're going to have these network people. They had Jeremy Roenick and
Oh, yeah.
they had Keith Jones,
I know.
who
They had
didn't
Jonesy.
say a word. He
They
just
had
stood there.
Jonesy.
They had Jonesy, Jeremy Rowan, and I forget the lady's name. I apologize, from the hockey show that they do.
From
From the NHL and NBC or
I
whatever.
know exactly who you're talking about. And
The
you know,
blonde girl?
To be fair, I know who you're talking about, and I don't remember her name.
Right. But they had them, and they're talking, and like she's like, "Oh, I'm here with Jeremy Rowan and Keith Jones," and Keith Jones says not a single word. He literally just sits there and looks in the camera, doing me and Keith Jones.
And here's the funny
Doing
part.
Keith Jones things.
When you think about it, out of the two guys that you would think would speak on wrestling, you think Keith Jones would, not Roenick. When you get right down to it, you think Jonesy would be the wrestling fan, and Roenick wouldn't say anything.
I have to be honest. While the panel was not the worst part of it, I absolutely hated the freaking panel. I hated that. You know what? Because and we kind of talked
I
about.
didn't hate it.
And I'm not going to jump the gun because I know we're going to talk about that other show later in Hot Tag, so I'm not going to get to that. But it ties into what we talked about prior to the show, which is, I get it. It's on Fox. Fox has a lot of quote-unquote legitimate sports. Quote-unquote, okay? For everybody that's going to get upset at me for even saying that, with the quotes, the 100 quotes. I get you want it to be more legitimate. But Jesus, man. It's still wrestling. It's SmackDown. I don't want it to be the NFL. I don't want it to be the NBA. If so, I'll go back and watch the old throwback drafts of 1987 when the Sixers, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I want that, I'll go back in my archives.
You could.
I just want to see wrestling.
If you
But
wanted
here-
a more legit sports-like draft of pro wrestling, you could have gone to the 2002 draft when they first did the damn brand.
But here's the
split.
thing, Ryan. This is how I'll I will counteract your argument. You said last week on this show, you had an understanding going in that
That's right.
Raw was going to be more storyline driven.
Yeah.
And that Fox's presentation was going to be more sports-like, legitimate sports-like driven.
Yeah.
So we're not surprised by this, and I know, like, you knew this is what you were going to
It
get.
doesn't mean I need to like it. Nothing you're saying is
And
wrong.
Crumb's but Crumb's calling him out.
Listen, Crumb, you're not wrong. I knew this was coming. Doesn't mean I need to like it.
Well, if Chucks was here, he'd tell you have to like it.
Well.
Wait a minute, he liked it?
No, I mean, Chucks would just tell you have to like it. 'cause
Oh,
that's what Chucks would
okay.
tell you.
I was just
It
wondering.
was a
if-
very stressful
gonna
night
say-
on Tuesday, Maddie.
I was gonna say, like, I was like, wait a minute, someone actually liked that.
Chucks is actually in here, too. What's
Oh,
up, Chucks?
Hi, Chucks.
How's everything?
Chucks co-hosts of Birds of a Feather with me on A2D on
We had to-
Tuesday nights
Maddie,
with
we had to
Kevin Godwin.
We had to play a lot of sirens on Tuesday.
There was a lot of yelling, a lot of.
There was a lot of shit that went
There
down.
may
I
have
gotcha.
been like a 4-minute stretch where you couldn't hear a word that we were saying because we were just screaming over.
It was a
top of each
Western
other.
standoff of who was going to stop screaming first.
Yeah, and I wasn't giving up.
And
on that.
Chrome did not lose.
So how bad's the migraine still hurting y'all for that one?
Oh, God.
No, but so all right, we're getting back to it though. I mean, I didn't mind the panel. I'm confused now with Samoa Joe's character. Is he? I feel like he has to come back as a face at this point. Honestly, Ryan made the point before we went on the air. I didn't even realize Samoa Joe was injured. I did love the touch of the pink cast on his arm. I kind of wish it was signed. That would have been fun. But it was what it was. I didn't hate that part. Like if I'm looking for things to pick apart on this, that's at the bottom of my list. The War Room was number one. That was awful. It was awful, and to just see the so disingenuous reactions to things, like I didn't even know who the one guy was that was drafted towards the end, and you'd think they just drafted Brock Lesnar.
I know exactly what
They
you're
were
talking
like,
about.
yeah,
It was that guy from 205.
Yes.
I
What
keep
was his name?
I keep calling him Guillermo del Toro, but
No.
it's not that.
You know who I'm talking about.
Yes,
though.
it's the
I can't think of his name off the top of my head right now.
Maddie. You have the list.
Wait,
It's
so
the-
is this on SmackDown?
I don't know. I think he was drafted to Raw.
Raw. He was a 205
No.
Live guy.
Well, let me see here. We have
I don't watch 205 Live, so I
Okay.
I only
just-
know the big names on 205 Live. To be honest
Yeah, they actually.
I swear to God, I keep calling him
I didn't
Guillermo
see
del Toro.
SmackDown. I'm looking.
with you. We'll go through the list. When it
Yeah,
comes
we'll
up,
go
I'll
through
be
the
like,
list.
that's
Andy got
Yeah,
it.
yeah, we'll
Humberto
find it.
Carrillo.
Humberto Carrillo. Yeah, when he was announced, you would think they just bought Dean Ambrose back
Okay.
as a huge draft surprise.
Let-
It was the most ridiculous thing I've seen.
Okay, that's why I didn't see him because that was day 2. I was looking at day 1.
Yeah, it's day 2.
Okay.
I think you said it, or I think it was in our chat, or I think it was on Twitter. We got to address when we're talking about them quote unquote reacting, them going crazy when they drafted Natalya, and was it you? Somebody said, "Oh, they probably think they drafted the other queen, Charlotte." Because the way they were
It wasn't
celebra-
me. Somebody said that. I
The
don't
way
remember
they
who
were
said that.
celebrating was like, oh, no disrespect, but nobody's celebrating that much for Natalya.
no.
Everyone's like, all right, here we
Don't get
go.
me wrong.
Yes,
Talented
good.
female wrestler and great family lineage, but yeah, no one's gonna be freaking out that much that they got. Oh, hi.
Hey, buddy.
He got quiet.
Oh, that was
Somehow the mic moved back from his face for a second there. I got you, but that's why we're a tag team.
It was the stash that just pushed it away. It's like, don't get that thing close to me. Anyway, so yeah,
You're good. You're good. I
so
can
good.
hear you
Oh,
loud and
okay,
clear
cool.
now.
Because
Yeah.
I had this weird look on Bro's face, like, what?
No, you're good.
Anyway.
Oh, there you are. You're back.
Oh. So now I'm back. Oh, okay. Christ.
I had to press the fun button.
Okay. So
No.
there we go.
But I mean, that kind of stuff was ridiculous. And this is another thing. Not my point. My confidant, who I mention here often, Nick Staskin, said to me, he's like, "You go through this draft, you dedicate 2 months worth of programming to build up Chad Gable, and he's not drafted.
Yeah. And then they changed his name to Shorty Gable on top of it.
What the hell? What the hell? When I saw that, I thought it was a joke. When I saw that graphic, I'm like, nobody.
Apparently, that's like a thing.
Yeah, well, of course. It's Vince, of course.
That had to have
Oh,
been.
that's that funny stuff. That's funny.
That's good shit right there. Firing Eric Bischoff, by the way, because Bruce is going to be my yes man. Because let's
It's
be
terrible.
honest.
That's terrible.
Let's be honest. Bruce is probably just going to be like, whatever. So
My other beef with this, okay? Clearly, none of the champions were going to change shows.
No.
So why do we just not say champions are locked in
Yep.
and we're going to draft outside of that? Like, that to me was annoying because it was a waste of airtime. It was a complete, like, Brock Lesnar's not, like, first of all, I'm sorry, Brock Lesnar's getting drafted first.
Of course.
Let's be
I mean,
real.
he
It's-
should.
No disrespect.
Be,
No
it's not gonna-
disrespect, Becky, or whoever else.
Just to also clarify, there are ineligibles that are apparently here, and they are as follows: Cain Velasquez, John Cena, Ronda Rousey, and The Undertaker. So Lesnar falls into the category of eligible to be drafted.
Part-time. 'Cause
Yeah.
those ineligibles are part-time /
Part-time.
ineligible.
Well,
Yes.
so that means Raw was the Cleveland Browns then. They just missed on the pick. No disrespect, Becky.
No disrespect. Yeah. But the man was drafted first overall. It was just ridiculous.
They drafted for a need instead of what's highest on the board.
So as any other draft recap would go, we're going to go through. Maddie's going to pull up day one. We're going to go through and we're going to recap the draft. But
We're going to
before
say
we
which
do-
ones were a steal.
Before we, all right, Christian.
Yeah, I know.
But before we do, I'm going to try to get to some of these comments here. David Rosca chimes in. What's up, boys? What's up, Rosca? Congrats
Hey,
on
Rosca.
congrats on getting Jalen Ramsey.
Hi, Dave.
Andy Ritter says, "Yo, boys, what's good? No in this very ring this week. I'm meeting Seth and Becky. We ain't mad at that, brother. Enjoy yourself."
Are you going to be at their wedding? Congrats if you are.
Yeah. No,
Is that real? Do we know if that's real?
what?
Remember when the breaking news hit about
Oh,
those
yeah,
two?
yeah, yeah.
We were like, is that it?
I'm
That's not
still,
real, right?
I'm still on the fence. I still think it's a work.
Rosca liked the draft.
Okay.
Frank Vespi says, "Hey, yo, sorry to bother you at work. I'll come back later to visit for the AEW talk. I appreciate that." Andy says, "I have to disagree. I don't think it accomplished a lot. Could have been much better." Frank says, "Did someone say dinosaurs?" Andy goes on and says, "Is there an in-between answer? I won't say it was a complete success, but it wasn't a giant failure. There are a few things I would have liked to see, and some I wish I didn't." Rosca says Seth Rollins versus Steve Austin at WrestleMania.
You playing the video game?
Well, you know what? That's not one of those outlandish comments. There's more rumors of Austin. That's it's not crazy. Frank Vespi, did someone say peacocks? Andy, I'm pretty sure the War Rooms were the same people just wearing different clothes.
Yeah.
Bill says, "I like the draft the way it was set up. For example, the wrestlers scrolling by at the bottom of the screen. I did like that.
Okay, yeah, that was fine.
The reaction of the draft rooms, etc. I thought the presentation was cool. I didn't mind the draft rooms if it was not done completely ridiculously over the top and cheesy. Ryan's 100% right. Like, why is the robot in there? And the robot's pumping arms and giving high fives, and Craig Stone or whatever the hell his first name is in there. Like, what prestige does he carry in the decision making of Fox programming? Like, that's what I was looking
If
at.
they wanted to do it once for like Twitter meme ability, whatever. Because I know that like that Fox, that WWE on Fox Twitter page is apparently like regarded as like a really funny Twitter page, the way they interact with people. So if you want to do it for the sake of Twitter, fine, do it once. Like
Twitter.
the Twitter. But if you're gonna do it every time, and us trying to be like, oh my god, they love the pick.
Yeah.
They don't like the pick. They love the pick. Like no. Set the hell down.
This is what I'll say, and I could be off base on this, but for us as the smart fans, you talked about it, right? Like, you see we watch legitimacy in real drafts, right?
Of course, yes.
So when you're watching that and you see legitimate reactions, first of all, you never see that in a real draft. That's
No.
number one.
No.
So to have this insane over-the-top, even if they wanted to do it like the first like couple of picks just to kind of be like boom or whatever, I get it. But they were doing it, like we said, with Humberto Carrillo. Like, it was like almost every time, and it's like, all right, this is like way too much. It's over the top. It was poorly presented. Andy says, I do like the new vibe Fox has been bringing to the product from a presentation standpoint.
Yes.
I agree.
Overall, yes.
And he also says, F Joe Buck, he's an idiot. And he says, Bill says, were you surprised that Bayley won the title? Yes, I was surprised.
I was
by
very
that.
surprised.
That was a shocker.
But it's funny, they did the whole her turning heel just so she can win the belt back. So the title change they did kind of, when you look at it, it's like, okay,
Well, they also
why'd you wait till then? But then again, it is the draft day, so fine.
Well,
All
they
right,
probably
whatever.
did it so Charlotte can now be an 11-time champion.
That too, yeah.
And he says, kind of, I really wish that it happened back at Hell in a Cell, but it did make sense for when it happened. And he says, Joe making that shot at Renee was hysterical. Oh, the fashion. Yeah, I actually laughed at that too. He says, the right guy is back in the producer's chair. What's up, Brodo?
Hello, Mr. Andy.
Bill says, I thought it was okay. I mean, the reactions were kind of stupid. The Fox robot laughed my ass off. But whatever, LOL. Andy says, Chad did get drafted. He got drafted during night 2. That's right. I forgot about that.
That's Shorty Gable.
That's Shorty. Yeah, Chad Gable did not get drafted. Shorty Gable got
God.
drafted.
Yeah, Chad Gable doesn't exist anymore.
So how did we feel about Bray Wyatt going to SmackDown?
I'm not surprised.
I was very surprised. to be
I mean,
honest.
I wasn't surprised because of the result of Hell in the Cell. I kind of saw it coming after that, with the way that they did the
right.
no contest
Agreed.
in a Hell in the Cell match.
I was really surprised for 2 reasons. Number one, because of what they are doing at Crown Jewel, and you said the same thing to me on Tuesdays. I say every time they have one of these stupid Crown Jewel things, what happens on Crown Jewel doesn't matter. It's kind of like Fight Club. You don't talk about Fight Club. We don't talk about Crown Jewel. Therefore, I get it. Here's the other thing, though. I don't believe SmackDown needs Bray Wyatt. I think Raw does, especially when you talk about, like we were saying, the structure of Raw is going to be more storyline, dramatic,
Yes.
kind of different vibe type things. Listen, he's going to get the exposure more on Fox, which is great for him. I don't love that he's also going to be below the likes of Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar.
I'm not convinced. Well, maybe Brock. I'm not convinced he's going to be below Roman.
On Raw, it's kind of like, and I think it hurts Raw too. It doesn't just hurt Bray; it hurts Raw because it's kind of top heavy. It's kind of lopsided.
Yeah.
And I think you could have made, like we were talking. I don't think we said this on the air, but say for example, the 2 main faces of Raw, say because there were rumors that Seth was heading to SmackDown. So I was actually a little surprised, even if him being a champion, he didn't go over, and then they could have quickly changed the belt, in a couple weeks or whatever. They could have had the 2 main superstars on Raw be Daniel Bryan and Bray Wyatt. That would have been fine.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't do, Daniel Bryan's on SmackDown. So I'm fine with it. It's going to be fine because Bray Wyatt's obviously very good at what he does, and he's over. But I think it's a missed opportunity. I think it's dramatically going to kind of hurt Raw, to be honest with you.
I'm going to an impasse on it because considering how we've kind of laid out that one is more storyline driven and one is more sports oriented, I would agree with you in that aspect. I'm surprised that he, being the storytelling character that he is, would be taken off. That being said, a number of reasons why it doesn't shock me. Maddie hit the first one. Clearly the way Hell in a Cell ended. I think we all suspected that this would be the only logical reason for that.
Pretty much.
2, you tapped on it. The fact that this is the hottest character right now, bar none, in pro wrestling that people are fascinated by. And they are solidifying, whether they want to admit it or not, that SmackDown is the A show now.
They want the ratings to be really good, too.
They will absolutely draw eyes, even from the casual fan on a major network. People who maybe aren't into wrestling but have caught a glimpse of this character or happen to switch the channel and see something like this on there may switch back and stay on that network to see what's happening.
It's true. That's a good point.
And also, even though they were going to be based more sports, Fox wanted more edgier content.
Right.
Well, The Fiend is about as edgy as you're getting right now with WWE.
Exactly. Number 3, you hit right on when I was going next. I don't think that they're not totally getting away from storytelling on SmackDown. So by having this character on there, and we've always talked about, right, there needs to be a higher level of storytelling for this character. And exactly what you just said, Maddie, you can go places on SmackDown with this character that you would not be able to go to on the USA Network. And I think at this point, they don't want to handcuff the character because they're still pushing the boundaries to see how far they're going to be able to go with it. So when you take a step back and look at it, I actually think him on SmackDown is the best option. And I think now they'll build the character. He can go and maybe not have to be in that title hunt right away, but he can go through and he can go and have stories and build the character up so that when the Brock run inevitably is kind of worn down and they're ready to shift, you can then throw him into that main event role.
But and the best part of it, too, is it's a perfect time for him to be on SmackDown because now that they have the brand split and this time around SmackDown is on its own channel, it's separated from Raw. It's not on the same channel as Raw. Mm-hmm. You legitimately will have effort being put into SmackDown where it will be, okay, maybe when we first started it originally, we had good intentions, but then it all went to hell eventually with SmackDown on the USA Network. Now we can say, okay, because it's not on the same network as Raw, we have no choice but to make this the best it can possibly be. Because Raw is only going to be on USA. And the only other show with that is NXT, and that is way off to the side.
Right.
So now they have to put that extra effort out there for SmackDown and not say it's the B show, so who the hell cares?
Exactly. Rosca says The Fiend will beat Seth Rollins for the Universal Championship.
Is that match at Crown Jewel? That is not for the Universal title, is it?
It is.
Then why would you even do that?
I mean, maybe there's a swerve and then they end up putting him back on Raw. I don't know. Bill says, now that Bayley won and Charlotte was drafted to Raw, how does that work? So the question, are you asking in terms of a rematch? Because WWE does have the clause now that there's no guaranteed rematches, so technically they can do that. They don't need to give Charlotte a rematch. Charlotte can just move over to Raw, and they can kind of just roll from there. That's the simple explanation.
What it pretty much says to me is eventually her and Becky are going to go back at it again for the title. I mean, I know we've seen it before.
Where did Sasha end up? SmackDown?
SmackDown. So basically, since that then shows you why they had Becky retain the Raw Women's title, because they were always going to put Sasha on SmackDown. And I don't know what the hell they're going to do with her over there because the main rivalry she had going on was Becky. And now you put Charlotte on Raw, and you put Alexa Bliss on SmackDown. So now it's like, okay, so
no, Alexa Bliss got traded.
Well, she
to
got
Raw.
traded to SmackDown, did she not?
And then no, she got drafted by SmackDown, and then
And
she got
traded
traded
to
back to
Raw.
Raw with Nikki Cross.
Oh, okay, never mind then. Okay,
For future considerations.
Yeah, for the imaginary fill-in-the-blank superstar.
Anyway,
Some trade, huh?
yeah.
SmackDown, what are we doing? You just traded away. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not a trade. That's a creative decision. Again, we're one day in on the draft, and we're already screwing it up.
Even on top of that, too, when you look at it from even a legitimate sport, as you know, with the air quotes from Brodo there.
Come on,
I borrowed
guys.
them from you. But anyway,
I don't think I've rubbed my head and my eyes and my face so much.
Even if you're
on
looking
this
at it
show
from
in such a short period of time.
from a legitimate. Stealing those air quotes from you there, Brodo,
No,
again.
listen,
from the
it's fair game.
legitimate
Fair game.
sport, even that trade would be stupid in real life because you're thinking like, okay, so you're trading the top female tag team you have in your division for future considerations. That's like if the Flyers today called up Pittsburgh and said, hey, we'll trade you Claude Giroux and Jake Voracek for future draft picks.
No.
That Pittsburgh's probably not going to have.
Maddie, you know
that's
what it
the
is?
dumbest thing in the world.
I'm telling you, I wasn't joking earlier. SmackDown is literally the Cleveland Browns of 2017. They went to make the trade, but they forgot to make the phone call. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen who don't know, the Browns literally did that.
That's a real thing. If you're not a
What-
big
I don't lie.
What the hell draft was
I
this?
don't lie.
No, it was at the trading deadline.
Oh, okay, never mind.
So, hey, WWE, if you want to look at trades, there you go.
Oh, and since we're following this whole trading things for future considerations, if we're following the legitimate sport, is there going to be a trade deadline for the future? Will there be like, oh, okay, so by the way, once it starts to happen, like at WrestleMania or near WrestleMania, trade deadline, no one can get traded.
Maddie, I'll lose my effing mind. You know why?
They should put a trade deadline.
No, they don't. You dare.
Yes.
No.
Let's go all in.
You know why? No, because you want to see me suffer. That's why.
Let's just go all
you know
in.
why?
The trade deadline is they couldn't do it now, but they make the trade deadline like December, right before the Rumble.
It was right before WrestleMania season.
Because that's
that's
when the playoffs start, right?
Yeah, because that's when WrestleMania.
So like either November,
season
like the trade deadline is like at the night after Survivor Series.
You know why I don't want that, Grum? Because on the surface, Maddie's not wrong. He's not. I mean, he's correct. The premise is correct because you want it to be legitimate. You know why I don't want to see it ever? It's because of this.
Because
this very
Alexa
reason.
Bliss and Nikki Cross get traded for future considerations.
Well, not only that. See, I already erased that from my mind. No, it's not
That's
the
why
fact.
I'm here to remind you.
Well,
Yes.
those future considerations will be Umberto Carrillo and another 205 liver.
It's not that the WWE doesn't know what the hell a trade is. It's the fact that they'll tell us after December 15th, 2019, nobody can make a trade. Sometime in late February, breaking news, we have an exception. We have a trade. Like it's like the wild card rule.
Yep.
They said it for 2 weeks.
Therefore, we have an exception. We have an exception. Roman Reigns can come over. He is a free agent.
You know what I'm saying? It's not going to last. They're just going to change it when they realize it sucks.
I honestly though, I actually don't think it's a bad idea. You do it the night after Survivor Series. There it is. No trades after Survivor Series up until WrestleMania ends. And then whatever after WrestleMania ends, that next morning, say noon next morning, open for business for trades. And then that could open it up for the surprises on the Monday after, the Friday after now.
And by the way, if you're going to go full bore with this is going to be so bad if they do it, though. In the middle of a rivalry, someone gets traded to the other show. It's like, well, they went full bore with it.
Yep.
They're going on the legitimate side of things. As this happens, middle of the season, some dumb schmuck gets traded to another team. They're like, hey, congratulations, man. You're not finishing out your season the way you thought.
And it's so sad because
Maybe they should add a salary cap into this too.
Yes. Or like
Hey.
a roster cap.
Grum.
Like you can only have this many women, this many men, this many tag teams.
After go ahead, Brian.
No, go ahead, finish it up. Finish it up.
Oh no, I was gonna say like they have arbitration years,
Well, what I was going to say was, listen,
Brock will be the king of that.
franchise tagging.
Brock will be the king of the arbitration.
A2D Live just started talking to me. But I thought I was the only one able to control A2D Live.
Oh, maybe.
Somebody else called A2D Live is in the chat. Okay, that's spooky. Anyway, what I was going to say was when you talk about somebody that can manage the salary cap and everything, well, Howie Roseman might be available in a couple
There it
months.
is.
So hey,
There it is.
you know what I mean? He might need a new job.
He might replace Paul Heyman. Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah,
I mean, if he,
Eric Bischoff might be the new Eagles GM.
I will. I'll tell you right now. I would have him over Paul if he's immediately in favor of getting rid of that Lana and Lashley storyline immediately. If you plan on getting rid of that, it's like fine. You got it. I don't care if you have no wrestling experience. Go ahead.
Clanky jumps in. Clanky will be on later, 10 o'clock tonight, guys. Hockey happy hour. A lot of flyers through for another hockey talk.
Tom says he agrees to the poll.
Damn you, Tom.
Good answer.
Clanky
Good
says,
answer.
what's good, my boys? Don't know how to answer the question, but sure. The best part is when Tom guesses, which is like every poll question
Yeah.
basically, he has a really high win percentage of
Yeah.
answering the question the right way.
He has like an 85% win ratio. You know what I
So
mean?
he's like the guy who doesn't know anything about fantasy football, yet he wins the league every year.
It's
You know what he is?
It's like the people who
I know,
like
you're
do the
exactly what I'm
suicide pools, or no, they do like the pick'em pools, and they're like, "Ooh, I like red and gold, so I'm gonna pick the 49ers."
Well, see, I was going to go a step above. I was going to say
the Dolphins
it's
have
like
pretty
those,
uniforms.
it's like those people that do the March Madness brackets, but
Yeah.
they pick it based off of jerseys
Yes.
or like their favorite states. Like I've been there. I'm
Yeah.
going to pick that. You know what I mean?
or a
His
relative.
win percentage is really well in our topics though. So
By the way, this is via A2D Live and also Andy. A2D Live says, Authors of Pain just signed with Raw. Razor announced that the rumors of them returning to MMA were true. This is all from his Twitter as of 4 hours ago. Huh?
Okay.
I mean,
That's conflicting reports then, right?
But
'Cause
that-
if one time he said,
it is.
did I read
but
that wrong?
So are they doing MMA and going to be on Raw? I'm confused.
I mean, to be fair, they're used so little they could
they've been hurt.
conceivably
To be
do
fair,
that.
I don't care about them.
No, I don't care about their vignettes or whatever the hell you call them.
Vignettes.
Vignettes, and they've got the they have captions. I'm afraid.
They don't speak in English in them. They sit there in suits and look imposing.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think they do in real life. They do speak English. I think
They do.
Yeah.
No, they do. They 100%
Well,
do.
one is from New York,
Oh,
so you know.
Andy was the A2D Live. He was the mall. He just sent me a text. Whoops, my computer was still set to A2D Live.
It's me, Austin.
It was me all along.
A2D Live. We've been compromised. We've been compromised.
We've discovered.
We've
The
got
higher-
a mole.
The
We've
higher
discovered-
power's been revealed.
We've discovered the anonymous general manager of A2D Live.
Just picture Andy over there. Oh, oops.
So from now on, we got to play the Hornswoggle theme when Andy comes on.
Oh God!
If only we couldn't get caught.
Andy, I'm sorry. Next week I'm gonna have to have that
now. What I liked from this, what I hated, we're talking about like breakups that needed to happen. Luke Harper and Eric Rowan are on opposite shows, guys.
How happy are you on a scale from 1 to 10 right now?
I mean, it's good.
I'm
But
gonna hurt my hands clapping so hard for this.
I'm
I don't
gonna
know.
say he's at an 11.
I don't know if we'll ever see Luke Harper again, though. Like, now I'm back to, like, okay, was he just brought in for that one time?
But he's yeah. I mean, especially because he's on SmackDown.
Yeah.
he could very easily get lost in the shuffle.
He should go to NXT. Or AEW. I mean, either way.
Actually, I would probably. He's capable of having really great matches, so NXT might not be a bad option.
Both of
honestly,
them should
to-
go.
yeah,
One
to
of
be
them.
honest with you,
Eric Rowan wouldn't because they've
Well-
got Killian Dane, and they're both, like, kind of the same thing.
Rowan though, I feel like they've been trying to develop him. So to take him and put him on NXT, it'd be like, well, then that means you just kind of just said whatever on whatever you were trying to do with him. So I'd say like, yeah, just keep him on there. See if maybe you could get something out of him. You might.
You
I
might
don't
not,
know.
but you might.
You might not. I mean, hell, at least they're trying. I'll give them that. At least
Yeah.
they're giving us shit.
You're right.
Trying to find the list. There was a couple of free agent signings that did take place. That surprised me. Okay. So this was as of Wednesday, yesterday. There were free agent signings that were announced. No Way Jose,
Jesus God.
Mojo Raleigh,
Ooh, big signing there.
Ryder and Hawkins,
Another
Boom.
big signing.
Steal.
the Iconics, and Sarah Logan were drafted to Raw.
I mean, that's-
I'm
that's-
signed to Raw.
That's a great pick.
Luke Harper, Cesaro,
So disrespectful.
surprised me. Drake Maverick, Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville, and Dana Brooke signed to SmackDown. I wonder what the war rooms were like after that.
Did you see the meme, by the way, with Dana Brooke? The other day.
What was the meme?
And it had like 3,000 retweets, so it was doing very well. It was breaking. Dana Brooke signs an illustrious contract with WWE Main Event.
You know,
It's history. She's the only one who signed a contract.
So
with the show.
here's a legitimate question.
Yeah,
Because this
yeah.
is the confusion for me, okay?
sure.
Shoot.
So I understand that like teams and managers were drafted together.
Yeah.
So is Sami Zayn now a manager that he automatically goes with Shinsuke Nakamura?
I think he was.
He was.
Yeah.
But I'm saying,
So
is this who we are now? That Sami Zayn is now the manager and not an active competitor?
Sammy, just put on a mask. Just put on some kind of mask.
Put on the El Generico mask and
Just
let's
go
call
back
it a
to
day.
being El Generico. Ole.
What the hell happened to him? He was supposed to be Maddie. We were talking. There were years, Chrome, even before the show even started. There were years where Maddie and I would be in the car and we'd be talking about how Sami Zayn is the next Daniel Bryan. We would talk for hours
okay,
about that.
I didn't say he was the next day.
Oh, I did.
But
I
I said he was going to be a very important talent. That he could be like a mid-roster talent. That if you wanted to be anything, you had to go through him.
Yeah.
You know, but unfortunately, no, they totally flubbed that one.
So Greg Milakovic says, I honestly don't know to the poll question as I'm watching Raw now, but I agree with what you said earlier. I didn't need the draft to turn into Fox NFL draft. I didn't need Troy Aikman telling us about his favorite move being the tombstone.
From a guy who's not even wrestling.
Andy says, question for everyone in the studio and in the chat. What was the most surprising draft pick?
It's a great question.
Do me a favor. Great question.
Pull it up.
What we're going to do, we're going to go through, we're going to do,
The lists.
we're going to go day 1,
Day 1.
and day 2, and we're going to go through the list. So what we're going to do, what we'll do is we'll say, as far as the show they're now on, good move or bad move for
Gotcha.
the superstar. We can make jokes about where they're drafted all we want.
Yeah.
But in terms of whether it's the first round or the fifth or seventh, I don't even know how many fucking rounds they had. Whatever round it's in, if them being on that show will be a benefit for them or
Yeah.
they will get lost in the shuffle.
So we're
okay?
talking strictly in the superstar's point of view, correct?
Correct.
Okay, okay.
In terms of how their superstar will be moving forward or
All right.
utilized moving
We will
forward.
try to put ourselves into their shoes as best we can.
And again,
I
we
like
know the champions, which again I despise that the champions were not just announced to be staying where they are because it wasted time. But
that is
go
a
ahead.
waste of time and picks. But okay, round 1, Monday Night Raw. Their very first pick was the Raw Women's Champion. What a shock, Becky Lynch. And the shock being that they didn't pick the Universal Champion, but still, at the end of the day.
Well, I think that they made those champions go on Raw.
Yeah.
So they basically had Raw and SmackDown. Like they had each title, each brand show go different times.
But but overall the point is like it's just why are the like you said why are the brand champions available to be picked?
It's
They're a
stupid.
brand champion. What are they be stripped of the title?
Now
Like,
the only thing that would have made sense is if they said, okay, Becky Lynch is drafted by SmackDown. Oh my God, what's going to happen? And then Raw comes around and then drafts the SmackDown champion. Now they swapped. I guess they have to swap the belts. But like just as the shock of like, oh, they actually are switching champions off of the shows. They could, if they would have did that once. I don't care if it was the tag champions they did it with.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
It would have then justified having champions in this. But the fact that they did it with none of them completely negated the point of having them in it to begin with.
absolutely.
That's
So,
me.
As far as good or bad, it was fine. It was
I
fine.
think that Raw could use Becky.
Yeah.
So I will say that is a good one.
I mean, obviously any brand that got Becky would be perfectly fine with
Again,
her,
I was
so-
surprised because of how much I get it. They're gonna have her as a big spotlight on the first episode of SmackDown because she is a big superstar. I'm just surprised. Like when I saw that when she was with The Rock, I'm thinking, okay, she's absolutely going to SmackDown. So I was a little surprised, but I get it. I get it.
Okay, so SmackDown's first.
Well, I think the big surprise with that, real quick before we move on, was all of the promotional stuff that was out previously featured her on all of the SmackDown on Fox stuff. So that's
the
kind of where
intro.
the surprise. Yeah,
That's true. And the intro did have a lot of Becky in it. Yeah.
That's balls. I mean, that's ballsy. They made like a handful of intros.
They got to change a lot of stuff in that intro, actually, come to think about
and they
it.
will, I'm sure.
Yeah.
They probably had it pre-produced anyway.
Yeah, you're probably right. So, all right, so we go from Becky on Raw, and now we go to Roman Reigns, who is staying on SmackDown.
It's fine. I think it's fine.
Predictable,
I think he's
good.
fine there.
Yeah,
But yeah, that
was
wasn't really a surprise. The OC, AJ Styles, the current U.S. champ, by the way, and the Good Brothers, as they're called now. Christ. God. I feel so bad for Gallows and Anderson. They can never catch a break. Anyway, what did you guys think of that?
They're on Raw, right?
Yeah.
I don't like it.
I'm fine with it.
So obviously the U.S. title staying on Raw.
You know what I was hoping for, and I'm not trying to jump the gun, but like when they announced, oh, there's a big trade coming up, when they like on Monday or something, I was hoping the trade was going to be the OC for Bray Wyatt. I was hoping they were going to flip him. I think that would have been much better.
Fair
You
enough.
think the trade value was enough?
Yeah, well, yeah, yeah, and also because I think because there's it's a group, and where it's more top heavy on SmackDown, it would have given them more time to really.
Plus, with
own the
salary
show
cap
on Raw.
implications, they had to
Jeez.
throw
All
in
right,
Gallows and
Howie.
Anderson. They had to
okay.
throw in Gallows and Anderson to kind of close up the money gap.
They had to reach the actual ceiling. I got you. Okay.
You know,
You gotta
they
come-
are
you
they're
gotta-
money guys.
You got to
That's
come
all they
within a
want.
certain percentage of the contract.
I see. It makes sense. It's like taking on a dead contract.
Yeah.
I got you. Yeah. But And ironically enough, with that trade, guess who the SmackDown picked as their second choice?
Oh,
It was The Fiend. So, which, I mean, I'm not surprised this happened. I knew it was going to.
So the OC went before the Fiend.
Again, like,
Yes.
what the hell?
And Raw passed up on The Fiend.
Gallows and
for the
Anderson.
OC.
Not even Gallows and Anderson went before the Fiend.
The Good Brothers.
I mean, see, you could justify Roman Reigns and Becky Lynch to it, and AJ Styles, but yeah, Gallows and Anderson. This isn't the NJPW Gallows and Anderson. This is the WWE Gallows and Anderson.
What else you got, Matty?
All right, next up, the second round. So to start off, Raw went with Randy Orton.
I was okay with that.
He shouldn't be picked there. Like now, I'm analyzing it as like a guy. Like, but honestly, like if they want it to be legitimate, I'm going to analyze it as that he should have never been picked there.
See, I like a lot of what Orton's been doing lately, and I like the idea. I know we've seen it years ago, but I would like to see another Seth Orton rivalry.
I think we're gonna get it.
With it flipped because now it's Orton's the heel and Seth's the face. We haven't seen that yet.
I think I like him being on Raw. I just hate that pick.
Yeah.
It's a bad pick. It's a reach.
Thanks, Christian.
No problem.
So this one's going to be interesting.
People are going to get that joke when we get later in the show.
Or if people saw the show. If they saw that show, they'll get it too.
So next up, SmackDown picked Sasha, which basically I had a feeling you were going to say that. But
who was it, Sasha?
Yeah,
Reach.
which I mean,
She should be a freaking free agent. Nobody should sign her.
She injures her own teammates.
she injured herself in the last match, so she hurt her tailbone.
It's like drafting Greg Oden.
Drafting Sam Bradford.
Sam Bradford. That's the Sam Bradford draft pick.
So-
Somebody's going to draft on potential.
I just realized that it's a shame we probably couldn't put this on a T-shirt. Call her Sasha Sleeves.
Sasha Sleeves.
Yeah,
That's ours, WWE. Stay away.
Don't you steal that from us.
Because
Coming in 3 years.
Because you know what's going to happen. Then they'll come up there and like, hey, can you get all like tats like Undertaker had so you can justify the whole sleeves thing? I'm like, so we're just going to turn her a biker now out of nowhere. But okay.
The one tattoo, Bayley.
Yeah, it's her and Bayley hugging right here on the inside too, where it hurts the most. But anyway,
Boston Hug Connection.
and and a Bayley buddy right up here on the
and
shoulder,
and then on the other arm, just a chair.
Yeah, like instead of flames going up her arm, it's just a bunch of Bailey buddies flailing all over.
Oh, but anyway, yeah, so she was the number 2 pick, which, by the way, doesn't really help her because you know who's on SmackDown,
Exactly.
so it's like, Christ.
Oh, my God, Greg.
Anyway.
I'm going to read it
Yeah,
after he gets through this round.
All right, so the next part was Ricochet.
Ricochet.
Or as Jericho called him on a podcast, Ricochet.
Ricochet.
Who said that? Wait, who called him?
Jericho, because he wasn't allowed to talk about
Oh, he
one
didn't-
of the,
Okay,
on his
didn't-
podcast. But
I
anyway,
thought someone said it like actually being serious.
that would be great if Jericho and him were in a rivalry too. He could so call him that. It would be perfect. But anyway,
I could see somebody in that war room yelling that out. We got Ricochet!
oh, but
Probably
anyway,
that damn robot.
that thing speaks. Anyway, all right, so yeah, Ricochet and then Braun Strowman going to SmackDown, which I was actually a little surprised that he went to SmackDown. I thought he was going to stay on Raw.
Yeah,
did
me too. I was
Yeah.
very surprised.
I don't hate it.
No.
But,
No, but
he's going to get buried over there.
Yeah, he's not.
you would think that they would let with all the room opened on Raw, you'd think they keep him there so they could get him some momentum.
Yeah.
You know, going into
And
the
that's
Tyson
exactly
Fury
it.
thing,
I
They've
think
you
he
know?
might get buried.
They've
but-
officially turned him, and we knew this was happening. They've officially turned him into their new big show.
Yeah.
To where, like, he's just their gimmick guy.
Yep.
Like, here's a celebrity, go fight him. Here's a big guy with a beard, go fight him. Like, and it's a shame because Braun Strowman, this time last year, we were talking about how he might be the face of the freaking company.
Yeah.
Or at least be that monster heel or babyface champion.
And then he started fighting with the Saturday Night Live people, and it's been all downhill.
That's where it ended.
One child
Michael
WWE
Che.
tag title run and one Michael Shea later, and that's it.
Michael Che and Colin Jost.
Oh, God. And then the final pick of the round, and yes, because we can't get enough of this one on Raw, Bobby Lashley is staying on Raw.
Well, you know, he couldn't leave Lana.
Oh, yeah.
With Lana, right? Lana goes
I
with
believe
him.
she's going with him, yeah. So, yeah, because we couldn't get enough of that. Well, at least they won't be taking SmackDown with it.
Greg says over here, and the live looks into the war room. We're annoying AF. Haha, why is Rob Stone all over my TV on SmackDown? That's his name, Rob Stone. I kept saying Craig Stone. Rob Stone, yes.
Wait.
Annoying.
Didn't he win the 24/7 title?
He did.
That's what it was.
He's a former 24/7 champion.
Yeah, because he pinned Elias.
So is Marshmallow.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was the box head guy.
Andy Ritter says, that was my other issue. We established that everyone was a free agent. Why do we have to keep saying that someone was staying on Raw or SmackDown? It kills the whole idea of everyone being a free agent.
Well, Andy, they don't know what a trade is.
He says, wait, Matty skipped over Drew to Raw at the end of the round 1. I don't think you mentioned that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was a good pick. I like. And
Oh,
that
yeah,
was,
my bad.
Drew
Yep.
McIntyre,
Yep.
who I think he's been hurt.
Yes, I loved that pick. I loved where they had him because it shows how much they have
I would
planned for him.
You would hope that that's the case.
If with Drew now being on Raw and so much leaving and going to SmackDown,
Yeah.
there has to be room for him now to get into that main event picture.
Bill's jumping out. He says, have a good show, fellas.
Later,
Good
Bill.
night to the
Later, Bill.
fam.
Peace,
we appreciate you, Bill. So what are we in, round 3 now?
3.
How many rounds were there?
4.
Oh, okay, and then 5 on Raw, right?
I forget, but all right, let's dive into it. We'll find out on the list. Okay.
I don't even know if they know what a round is.
They don't. Look at the structure.
No.
But anyway, so on to number 3, Alexa Bliss. Now, keep in mind, Sasha went before her, and I understand Becky. Charlotte, by the way, has not been picked yet either. So it's like, damn. They're valuing
I don't think she was
Sasha.
eligible that night.
Charlotte wasn't eligible that night. She was
Well,
round 2.
okay, you're right. But still,
She
point
was night 2.
Point is,
Day two.
and listen,
Day
I'll be,
two.
and listen, I'm just gonna get this out right now. Yes, Sasha is my crush, but at the end of the day, look at it from a business side of things. What one are you drafting to your show first? You're drafting Alexa Bliss to your show first.
Yes.
So this made no sense that
Yes,
she
listen.
came here in the 3rd round.
Sasha's going to be an undrafted free agent.
She's the Greg Oden. She's the Sammy Sleeves.
And then I might sign her to an incentive-based contract depending on how many times she hits someone with a chair.
Yeah.
Correctly.
And
Correct.
then incorrectly.
Well, she's not hitting any of those bonuses in that
Nope.
structure.
Yeah, that's why it's all incentives.
But if she gets hurt, then she gets the actual bonus.
Yes.
So there you go.
We'll take the gamble.
All right, man. All right, and then after that, Lacey Evans got picked. And
I'm okay with that, actually. I hope that they're going to do something with Lacey, and I didn't mind, by the way, her being the choice for Natalya this week. I actually enjoyed that.
You know what they're doing now? This is now the female version of Cesaro and Sheamus.
Could be.
This
I'm
is-
okay with it, though.
Well,
You don't see it. You haven't seen it with women, though.
no, you have it.
So I would be okay with that.
It's fine. They're not having her on TV at all, so it's fine.
so what are they going to call themselves?
I don't freaking care.
I was just
Girl
wondering.
power? I don't know.
The bartenders? Like, I mean, we
The bartenders.
The
bartenders.
It took me a second to get that.
wait a second, what?
The bartender.
We don't just stock the bar, we own the bar.
There you go. I like it. I like it.
You know, I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm just gonna leave it alone.
I'll get that. I'll make that a T-shirt too.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm a Lacey fan. I think she's a wasted talent right now, and I really I'm okay with her going in that first night and going high, and I think that she I liked what they did with her and Natalya.
okay then.
I hope that that's something they're going to roll with for a little bit, but they came out and lost right away. So
There you go.
WWE booking.
Who took the pin?
Lacey. She got rolled up. Roll up. Apparently that's like the new finisher now. We have the Shorty Gable finisher is the roll up. Yeah.
Next
it's fun
thing
stuff.
you know, the sunset flip's going to be the most devastating
Yeah.
thing in the world.
I'm starting to hate them.
Oh, all right. So let's see. Next up, we got Kevin Owens, and then the Revival, who were the SmackDown Tag Champs. So they're staying on SmackDown.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I was cool with it. I was actually cool
Yeah.
with this round. I like the talent that went in this round.
Funny how it's the 3rd round.
What am I talking about? What am I becoming already?
Christian.
I am becoming Christian.
Oh my god.
Analyzing 4th round picks as if they're actually 4th round picks.
Andy has a name, by the way, for the tag team.
Oh, what is it?
The Classy Queens.
Ooh. Ooh, that's a writer's one right there.
Just call them the Viking Experience.
But
then,
you know
Andy.
what? But you know what? The funny part is, I will give Andy this. He's probably spot on accurate of what they will call them. So I will give you that one, Andy.
He says Lacey is inserted in a six-pack challenge this Friday on SmackDown with Mandy, Nikki, Sonya, Carmella, and Dana. Interesting.
I'll watch.
Next up, Natalya, and she went to Raw.
And the entire war room started celebrating like they won the damn Super Bowl.
And the wine flowed.
We got her! We got her!
They had a little bit of the bubbly.
a little bit of the bubbly.
She doesn't just set the bar. She
is
is
the
the bar.
bar.
Tender.
Yeah. Oh God, yes, we have to get those shirts made. Between Sasha Sleeves and the bartenders, we're just gonna be rolling
She
in
is the bar.
merchandise money.
Tender.
We're merchandising money, I'm just telling
We
you.
are, man. Damn, man, we should
That
be.
is not lazy booking.
We should be working for the merch tables for WWE. Christ.
Let's do it.
All
Creative,
right.
let's do it.
Hey, man, I'll take the money. All right, next up. On the fourth round here, the Viking Raiders went to Raw, who are the Raw Tag Champs somehow, some way. And then next up, we have Lucha House Party. That was another one that was a big steal.
No.
How does Lucha House Party get drafted?
That was it. That was when I had enough of the war room because that's when they went
Yeah.
nuts. Because here's the thing. I saw it on the Twitter. And that was the Fox, the WWE on Fox post. It was the pick of the freaking. I almost call them the Lucha Dragons. What are they called? the Lucha House Party.
It
Jesus.
doesn't matter because one of them was one of the Lucha
They
Dragons.
showed the Lucha House Party pick. Then it cut to the war room, and that's when the robots running around a room and doing wind sprints in the circle. Are
Terrible.
you joking?
Terrible.
They did, but
Hey,
listen,
man.
they did put Lars Sullivan
Yeah,
on the
I was
shelf.
gonna say, man, don't you realize the credentials? They took Lars Sullivan and put his ass on the shelf.
The last
So,
time
there
they
you
were at
go.
Crown Jewel, so it's the anniversary.
Terrible. Terrible.
Oh, I mean, that alone makes them better than the freaking Horsemen.
That was
But anyway,
terrible.
Oh my God, Greg.
Greg says, I'm
yeah.
sick of Natty and her damn cat ears on her head. How many times have we got to watch her cry mid-match?
17. That's the
He's
amount.
so right.
oh man. All right, so let's see here.
Round out that last. Is that the last pick of the round?
Oh no, you wish. Next up was Nikki Cross going to Raw.
Okay.
And then
For now.
Heavy Machinery going to SmackDown. That's a good pick. And then the final one was the Street Profits going to Raw.
I like that one
I
a
like
lot.
that.
That
And
one
the chat liked that too.
At least they saved the best one for last.
Street Profits on Raw. In that round, I liked Kevin. That was Kevin Owens in that round of the previous
Nope,
round.
he was in the last round.
Okay, that's fine. In this one, I like the Street Profits and I like the Viking Experience, whatever the hell their names are. Is that what they're called?
The Viking Raiders.
Oh, the Viking Raiders.
Viking
Since they-
Raiders.
Man, you talk about killing a team. All Vince
I
had to
can't
do,
get Viking Experience out of my head now.
all Vince had to do to kill their push was, I don't like your name, and that was it. Vince killed them without even needing to book them.
But I like
seriously.
them there, Viking Raiders and Street Profits. I like the tag team division the way it's rounding out on Raw right now.
Hopefully they'll actually allow them to wrestle.
I hope that I
they're
hope
really good.
I hope there's an emphasis on tag team wrestling, and Paul knows how to do that. That's one
Yep.
thing Heyman always had a knack for.
He did have
was
good tag
was working the
teams.
tag team division. So I'm hoping that that's going to be one of the positives that comes out of this.
I mean, the Dudley Boys wouldn't be around, so there you go.
Andy says it was weird hearing Steph saying the USA wanted the smoke. $50
Oh,
bucks said
God.
$50 says she had no idea what she said.
You know what? Yeah, you're right.
Also, why was she announcing that?
I don't know. All right. We're heading up, so we're gonna take our break, guys. If you're on Instagram, you're on Periscope and Twitter, guys, get over to the Facebook and YouTube. We're gonna do day 2, as well as we're gonna talk about Bayley. We're gonna get in AEW. We're gonna touch on a few quick hot tag points before we get off the air. So, Maddie, who's our sponsor, buddy?
Our sponsor is the wonderful people at Gibson Mayer LLC, your certified public accountants, located 301 Oxford Valley Road in Yardley, PA. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. Tax season's almost here, and they can save you a lot of these guys right here. Be ready, be prepared, and call Gibson Mayer.
We'll be back in a few, fam.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Lazy Booking right here on A2DRadio.com in the Real Talk Studios here in Mount Ephraim, New Jersey. Brought to you by Gibson Mayer LLC, your certified public accountants. Located 301 Oxford Valley Road in Yardley, PA. Give them a call 215-369-3300. Tax season will be back before you know it, so be ready, be prepared, and call Gibson Mayer.
And again, fam, our topic of conversation regarding if the WWE Draft was successful, agree, disagree. Brought to you by Specialized Physical Therapy, our doctor, Dr. Paul Vidal. Find him in Burlington, Cherry Hill, Princeton, New Jersey. 3 convenient locations, as well as on the web, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. No appointment necessary. Go see the best doc in the business.
Now, I will say this, though. From what we've been saying, I'd say it was a resounding success. Best show ever. All right.
All right, so we're gonna shift right in. We're gonna do day 2. Because that's what we have here. Day 2 of the WWE Draft.
2 days later on Monday Night Raw. Okay, so to start things off with, Raw's first pick, the Universal Champion, Seth Rollins. Okay, next pick, Brock Lesnar for SmackDown.
That's such a waste.
Following that, Raw gets Charlotte Flair.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised by this. I really thought that they would break up Bayley and Sasha.
Nope.
And Becky and Charlotte, clearly not. So surprised by it. I definitely thought, too, that SmackDown would want to get at least one of them on their product. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it as in they actually did the drafting of this, but just in terms of, like,
Wait, what are you talking about?
having some of the bigger names on there.
What are you talking about? They had those war rooms filled with people that, were on the phones.
That was absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible.
All right. Next up for SmackDown, we have The New Day. Still together.
Yeah, so this tells me if Brock does go over Cain Velasquez, that maybe at some point, or even if not right away, they do a Kofi redemption of some build and have him go back after the WWE title at some point.
Hopefully it won't be as quick as the last championship match was between the two of them.
So you do know they had a match previously on a special, though, right?
Yeah.
The Beast of the East.
Over in Japan.
No, it was in – was it? Yeah, maybe it was.
Yeah, because that's
there.
when Nakamura beat Samoa Joe for the NXT title.
And he did beat Kofi in like 2.5 minutes then, too. You know that, right?
No, I didn't have an issue with him getting,
just people whining about it. Like,
with that being said, though,
didn't take anything away from him.
I don't know if I want to see a redemption story because we know how it's going to end. Yeah. He's never going to beat Brock. So, like, why do a redemption story that's not going to be redemption?
Maybe he'll just kick him in the balls a bunch of times like Seth and call it a day.
Like Daniel Bryan did that Survivor Series match.
Andy's typing in all caps.
So he's serious. The shit's on now.
After they teased breaking up the New Day so damn much on Friday, this was the right moment to do it and keep everyone faces. Andy, they're a team, man. You knew that they were going to go together. And I don't here's where I disagree with you, because obviously if it's all caps, it means he's very upset about it. When the breakup happens, I want them all to be there, and I want it to be one turning on the other two. I want them to be on the same show. Until then, keep them together.
Next up, we have staying on Raw. I forgot. Wait a minute. I don't remember. Andrade with Zelina Vega.
Yeah, I like this. I liked it. I think, to me, it's Raw. It's not. It's the B show in a lot of ways. But what I do like about some of the names that are going over there, I think you talked about it earlier, Maddie, where giving people an opportunity to go over there and rebuild their stock. I think you talked about that with Braun. I think that this is a perfect show that you could do that. And the talent that is going there to rebuild or build, in case like the Street Profits, build up their stock or a guy like a Ricochet, these guys could at some point be on that level of these top names that are on Raw without the distraction of those names taking away from them.
So what that means is that Raw was drafting for the future, SmackDown's drafting to win now. That's essentially what we're saying.
Kind of, sort of.
Well then, let the Stanley Cup, World Series trophy, NBA, and, everything else just fall right into the lap of SmackDown right now.
Absolutely.
All right, next up. On Raw, the women's tag team champions, the Kabuki Warriors, Kari-san and Asuka.
Yeah.
Fine.
Okay. I mean,
I still hate the name.
Here's the thing, though. Are the women's tag titles still going to show up on every show?
It doesn't sound that way.
So it's going to be strictly a Raw title.
That's what it sounds like. I didn't notice any female tag team. Well, Sonya and Mandy are on SmackDown, but they may break that team up and have them be individuals. Other than them, I didn't notice any tag teams going to Raw or going to SmackDown.
Nope.
So maybe that's something to keep an eye on. But I believe what it seems like that those titles will be exclusively on Raw.
Okay, then. So hopefully they'll get women's SmackDown tag team titles if they're going to continue this, or they put another belt on SmackDown. But anyway, point is moving on, we then have Daniel Bryan, who is picked for SmackDown, which doesn't really surprise me that he's staying on SmackDown, actually. Because you know what? He's always wanted to be on SmackDown, so it's really not a surprise that he stayed.
Andy is really upset.
It's like
about
he's
the New
turning,
Day.
He's turning into me. He's
What does
saying,
it benefit any of them still being together, though? They haven't beaten everyone. Haven't you beaten everyone and done every possible storyline with them? I guess I'm just ready for the New Day to be over. Whether you're going to split them up or just have them all agree to split ways, let these guys build singles careers. Ugh, never mind. He's arguing with himself now. He's telling himself, never mind. He says, no, they said that the titles can still be defended on all three shows, but should Asuka and Kairi-Sane lose the titles, they'll return to Raw. Okay, I didn't know that. He said Vic made the comment during the graphic highlighting them. All right, I must have missed that. So there you go. Okay, so they can cross over different shows.
Okay, because I was going to say, it's like that's a big problem if they wanted to make those exclusive titles to something.
I would have been fine if they unified the tag titles and put the men on one show and the women on another. That would have been fine with me, to be honest with you. And just say, if you're going to be a tag team, all the tag teams go to one show. Vice versa.
It would have been unique because they had, back in the original one, was the women's title was on Raw, the Cruiserweight title was on SmackDown.
Yep.
And that was unique to them.
But, yeah, I hear what you're saying, Andy. The merchandising continues to sell for the New Day. And I think that the story is to have them mutually break up or be broken up. This team that's a Hall of Fame team that's been together for this long. Like, listen, I think WWE learned their lesson a long time ago when they did this with the Dudleys. No rhyme or reason. They just broke them up in the draft.
They did.
And it ended up being a huge mistake.
What? You didn't like Reverend Devon?
It's a time I like to forget about.
Testify.
But they learned their lesson back then. To break up a Hall of Fame team without any notice, any backstory to it, other than they were just drafted as individuals, different things. I just don't think it works. To break this team up, there has to be a story involving all three of them. Somebody, Big E, needs to turn on the group and then go from there and then it's similar to the Shield. You had to get to a point when you hit that plateau with the Shield that you were going to have somebody be the guy to break it down himself.
And even if you did, for example, you talked about the Dudleys getting separated in that 2002 original draft. Then eventually, later in the year, they switched the Hardys onto two different shows. Jeff was on Raw, Matt went to SmackDown, but the thing was, what made it really great was it gave Matt a chance to be version 1.
Right.
And he got a chance to grow on his own on SmackDown. He wasn't tied to Jeff. Jeff continued to be a rising star with the whole imagination thing and everything like that. It was just his drug use that wound up costing him that opportunity there. But the point was that both of them were able to grow without having to be linked together. They had the opportunity. But the reason why it worked was because they were unique. They were unique personalities, and they were able to separate them from each other. Devon, even though he tried to do that, it didn't work.
I just don't think you can break up a Hall of Fame tag team without any rhyme or reason. Storyline-wise.
Yeah.
To me, the money is when they finally pull the trigger on the New Day, when it finally does happen, the money is going to be in the story that breaks them up. It's not going to be, hey, this Hall of Fame tag team broke up because they got drafted to a different show.
Yeah.
There's no story to that. And it's a wasted payday because that storyline we have WWE Creative, should be the payoff.
Should be. But it was not even for the title run. All right, next up, we go to Rusev, who's still on Raw because you can't get enough of that storyline that they got going on.
Storyline is terrible, but I like him on Raw.
Bayley, the SmackDown Women's Champion. What a shock.
Yeah.
And then Aleister Black, who is going to be on Raw now instead of SmackDown.
Was a fan of that.
Is it sad I forgot about Aleister Black the last month? I kind of forgot about him.
I don't even think he's been on the show,
No.
really, to be honest with you.
So, yeah.
I wonder if he was hurt, though.
I don't know.
I don't
Maybe.
know. Either way, I like it. I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
It's a good spot for him.
Again, like Drew McIntyre, opportunity for him to shoot up.
Correct.
All right, next up we have third round Raw got Cedric Alexander, which doesn't surprise me.
Like that.
Paul's been favoring him.
These are
heavily.
a lot of Paul guys are on these shows.
Yeah.
too.
Shinsuke Nakamura, Intercontinental Champion, no surprise, stayed on SmackDown with Sami Zayn as his manager. Next up, we then have the biggest pick of them all, Humberto Carrillo, going to Monday Night Raw.
Next.
Del Toro.
Next up, we then have Mustafa Ali, Make a Difference Ali,
Make a Difference
going
Ali.
to SmackDown.
Okay.
And then we have Eric Rowan on Raw.
Yes. Yes.
We'll never see him again.
Oh, next up, we then have the fourth round, Buddy Murphy on Raw. First time I'd heard Buddy Murphy's name in weeks.
I forgot about that. It's coming up in a few.
Yes.
We'll address that in a minute.
All right. But anyway, first time I'd heard of Buddy Murphy in weeks. But anyway, moving on.
And he's on Raw. You know what,
Yes.
though? Having heard this kind of in a rapid fire, I knew all these picks, but just hearing them like consistently like this, I know I said earlier that it's kind of top heavy, which it still is. It's lopsided. The big name stars are on SmackDown, but I like what Paul Heyman is going to have at his disposal now, to
Yes.
where he's got the young up and coming, almost kind of like not the Paul Heyman, kind of like the Triple H guys.
Yeah.
Like that's like the NXT graduation class.
Yeah.
Which it always reminds me of an old. It was when Paul Heyman, he was on the Edge and Christian podcast years ago, and he was talking about how he had like back in SmackDown, he had like I think he called it like the Super Six or something. Where it was
Yeah.
Eddie Guerrero, it was Kurt Angle, Benoit, Rey Mysterio, and it was like a bunch of guys that the Raw crew didn't want,
Yep.
but they were doing great things. And I'm not saying that these guys aren't what anybody wants, but you have all the big name guys. You have Lesnar, you have Bray Wyatt, Roman Reigns, etc., over on SmackDown. But if the core of Raw is Aleister Black, Drew McIntyre, Rakakic, I'm gonna call him Rakakic now, Ricochet, Buddy Murphy, obviously you have Cedric Alexander,
Listen, I'll even go as far as to say Drew McIntyre, Kevin Owens,
Samoa
those guys.
Samoa Joe.
Yes.
So no, I actually really like this.
Yeah, to add on to your point, you're exactly right, because these are all guys that you look at and you say, if only Paul Heyman could get his hands on these guys.
Yep.
Almost
Somebody
the
other than Vince.
entire list is that.
Well, think
Yeah.
about it this way. All you got to do is go back to OVW, where he worked with CM Punk,
And
eventually
yeah.
he came up. And then also ECW. How many guys did he have in ECW that eventually did great business in WWE?
Exactly.
You
You look at all of these guys and you're like, that dude is you can tell that dude is a Paul Heyman guy.
So I'm intrigued now. I'm intrigued.
Okay, and then the next one is Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode as a tag team going to SmackDown.
Do we have a name for them?
No, we do not. They are just Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode.
Two guys that have nothing else going for creative, so we're going to put them together.
Two mid-card guys. We'll just call them that.
They should just be like the glorious show-offs.
No. You know what? We'll rename them Team Above Average.
Team Above Average. They're a really good tag team, by the way.
Yeah.
I love those two guys
Andy,
together.
do you have a name for them? I know you made one for the what was it? The Classy
Oh, and
Classy Queens.
to
or
answer his request, no.
something? Andy said no. Go back to Humberto. I want to hear more of Chrome's thoughts on that.
No.
All right. Next up, we then have Jinder Mahal
There it is.
going to
There we go,
Raw.
Greg Milakovic says, by the way, how did Jinder Mahal get drafted and Mandy Rose didn't?
Well, WWE.
Well, we knew that. Oh, wow. Actually, that's the first Mandy Rose comment we've heard in quite some time, actually.
Dave, where are you at?
We did not get to Samoa Joe yet, right?
No, we did not.
That's 'cause it was a
Jinder
steal.
Mahal got drafted before
Well,
Samoa
hey,
Joe.
That's what it was a
It's
steal.
a great steal.
But wait a minute, though. He's
was
one
right.
of your.
Chris
But
was
isn't
right.
he one of your favorite WWE champions of all time?
Oh, he's my favorite.
Listen, I
My
will still,
absolute favorite.
will still go back on that day and say that in that moment I like the decision to put the belt on for that one day.
that one day.
Listen, it was changed that well, and I didn't like Randy Orton at the time, so it was fine.
See, even that, I actually would have picked Orton over Jinder, and that's one of the few times I'll ever say put the
Yo.
belt on Orton.
If anything ever solidified that title run, the Punjabi prison match was it.
And the Khali one appearance that came out to the wrong music. He didn't come out to the Khali music.
And I was there for that. God, that was a
I
mistake.
was there too. I was fourth row for that. That
Boy,
was terrible.
that is money I wish I had
Battleground,
not
right?
spent.
I spent a lot of money on that
Battleground?
ticket. That was probably the worst money I
I didn't spend as much as you, but I still spent some good money. I'm
Yeah.
like, damn, I wish I had that money back now.
Pretty terrible.
Oh, but
I
anyway.
still have the folding chair for that. I can sit on Ginger's face anytime I want to.
Well, there you go. Enjoy it. Moving on.
Oh dear.
Well, here's somebody's face you might want to sit on. Carmella went to SmackDown.
Yes, I am a fan of that.
And, well,
Yes.
Graves probably does. Anyway, moving on to R-Truth. So they're separated as he's going to Raw.
That was interesting.
And he's the 24/7 champ still.
I
So-
don't like it. I actually really like the dynamic of them two working together. I think it's going to affect the 24/7 title.
I love how they brought it full circle, though, with Carmella finally rolling him up and
Yeah.
taking the belt, which was nice.
By the way, if anyone wants to go back and see the chain of events that led to the beginning of the Corey Graves Carmella era, listen, you can tune in to Total Divas. They had it on the episode. I saw it on YouTube.
Oh, yeah,
I watched
that's
it.
right.
Did
They
you?
saw that. They had that clip they
Yep.
showed on the trailer. of
People
it.
people on Twitter kept talking about Corey Graves' voice. Apparently, it's way different.
I didn't think it was different at
And
all.
people were like, "Oh my God, he doesn't sound like that."
No, I didn't think it was different at all. I didn't get that at all.
Okay, that's interesting.
Andy's
But
so upset right now. Oh, Greg, Jesus!
what did Greg do?
Oh, we got it.
Lana laying on the table saying she likes it harder is the best part of Raw so far.
I feel like Greg is watching it as we
He
speak.
is. Andy says, why did Jinder Mahal even get drafted, period? Why wasn't he a supplemental pick? Why wasn't the bump draft pick? So many people got the shaft for no reason.
Listen,
Oh, my
just have this sink in. He got drafted,
Listen,
but Cesaro didn't.
all I could say is that the War Room
the Iconics
clearly the War Room has no wrestling management experience. So that's all it was.
I have my opinion that I will not share on the air as to why that happened.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. Maddie,
Okay,
what else we
all
got?
right,
Maddie.
all right. Samoa Joe went to Raw. Now can we get the rant out of the way here for this?
It's disrespectful.
If you ask Christian, this was the steal of the
It
draft.
was a steal of the draft.
Hey, it makes sense. It is a steal, considering the fact he went in the 5th fucking round. But anyway, all right.
Christian's literal words were, I really like the mindset of Raw. It was real steel. It made me feel confident in the, in the movement going forward for Raw.
Decision
It's
making.
you knew it was happening. It wasn't a steal.
It wasn't a real draft.
By the way, do you know
Don't lie to me.
By the way, you know Christian's getting sued by Jim Cornette right now, right?
Oh, Jim Cornette, he's a schmuck.
Oh, moving on. We go to The Miz, who is staying on SmackDown.
Jinder Mahal went before The Miz.
That is true. But to be fair, though, The Miz has lost so much
The Miz
momentum.
is just a TV host now.
that it's
They'll have him
really-
be on the new
yeah.
FS1 show in 2 months when they don't get CM Punk.
So he can actually show.
Hey Mike, you want to come over and do the FS1? You don't need to wrestle anymore.
Oh, and by the way, it's really just to promote Miz and Mrs. He's just a reality
that
show
show
star now.
sucks.
But anyway,
That
moving
show
on.
sucks.
We go to Akira Tozawa is on Raw. Is he a Paul Heyman guy to you?
What's that stupid
might
sound
be.
he makes?
Ha! That's all he does.
I could see him being a Heyman guy. I was at that Evolve show where he main evented with Adam Cole,
Baby.
And he was very high on the Evolve talent, the guys that have passed through Evolve. Oh, no, well timed. Well done.
That was good.
He's very high on the Evolve talent that's passed through there. And Evolve as a whole. Tozawa was an Evolve guy, so I could see Heyman being high on Tozawa.
Here's my issue, okay? With that being said, it's a great point. We haven't seen him on TV in 7 months.
No, I don't.
But he's going to be picked.
Was he even on 205 Live half the
You
time?
gotta remember, dude.
He was a part of the Titus crew with Apollo.
I get what you're. I get what.
And Dana Brooke with the glasses.
I get.
Yeah.
Brazzers Dana.
Yes.
Yes, I remember. That was Titus Worldwide.
Titus Worldwide.
Yeah.
Now we know the inspiration of the Lana character.
Worldwide. Yeah, I
But
remember
listen,
that shit.
You
God,
got-
that was
we-
terrible.
What we have to remember here, guys, is this is. I'm sorry, I had to say it.
No, it's funny because I forgot
Oh,
about
speaking of them, by the way, they actually apparently showed interest in working with Sasha Banks. But anyway, go ahead.
That's
yeah.
true.
Yeah. I mean, it was brought up, so.
But
it. He literally was typing it too.
yeah. Listen, you have to look at it though, and for all intents and purposes, to me, this is a reset button. So it doesn't shock me that there's certain people that we're gonna see that we haven't seen in months. My thing now is though, if these are the guys, and maybe Heyman said these are the guys I want to be highlighted on television as a draft picks, I expect something to be done, even gender, with all of them, even Humberto Carrillo. Something has to be done with them, because if they're shown here on the graphic as being drafted across the bottom line, and then nothing happens with them, it was a complete and utter waste, and it was a joke. Continue.
Okay, then. King Corbin going to SmackDown.
Okay.
Yeah, going to SmackDown.
Okay.
Shelton Benjamin is now on Raw.
Okay.
I'm going to shut my mouth.
And
You know what I'm going to say.
The sixth and final round.
I know Heyman's high on Shelton Benjamin, though.
The sixth and final round. Rey Mysterio staying on Monday Night Raw.
Okay.
Oh, boy. God.
No, it's not in the chat. I got to send you this.
Oh. And then
After.
No,
next-
now.
Okay.
and then next up, Shorty Gable is
Shorty
now
Gable.
on SmackDown.
So disrespectful.
He's staying on SmackDown, actually. Titus O'Neil somehow, some way got drafted.
Titus got drafted. I
Yeah.
thought he was like retired at
I
this
thought
point.
he was too. Thought he was just doing the whole Susan G. Coleman stuff for WWE at this point. Oh,
Ignore me. It's coming. It's coming.
all right. Anyway, Titus O'Neil gets drafted to Raw. Elias is staying on SmackDown. There's a guy that has not gotten anything in a long freaking
Forgot
time.
about him.
I feel bad because I actually really like
Me
Elias.
too.
And then the final pick, Liv Morgan going to Raw, and I'm actually intrigued by this.
Yes, good.
I'm very intrigued.
I'm very happy about that. I'm intrigued to see what we're going to get when she does come back as well.
because I saw that post of her just sitting in the rain, just getting just poured down on. I'm like, okay, wonder where this is leading to. And Paul Heyman can take an interesting gimmick and make it real interesting real fast.
It actually linked to it.
Oh my God.
I'll show it to you after.
Okay,
I'll comment to you after the fact.
so that was the WWE.
After we're on the air.
Hey, and ironically, SmackDown just had a graphic show up. Anyway, so yeah, that's pretty much that. And then the undrafteds were some of the guys who got
Yeah.
signed, and some of the ladies that got signed, and you know, that's pretty much all.
I was really
All
expecting
that,
Heath
yeah.
Slater to be drafted, too.
I know.
He does have kids.
All right. So,
Yeah.
So this is the draft, guys. We're running short on time, so we're gonna move on. That was the draft. We kind of gave our rundown of who was picked, if we liked it or this and that. Real quick, we're just gonna touch on the Bayley thing. My deal with the Bayley thing. It was presented the way that we said it should be presented. Months late, maybe a month at least too late.
Probably.
So I kind of care and don't care.
Mahomes is hurt.
Oh, that's big.
Sure.
For all you football fans, Pat Mahomes might be hurt right now. Stay tuned to that. But that's my deal with it. I did like the presentation of it. And I think I said to you guys before we went on the air, the thing that could have capped it for me, her walking up the aisleway after she won the title. The girl had the big circular Bayley logo that they used with the ponytail on it, like the happy face thing. She went up and ripped the ponytail off. Would have been money. I'm intrigued by the character, but how believable? Ryan talked about it, with the promo. How believable is she going to be?
Well, the problem is that she's never been a heel. So that's the big concern that you have, and I almost wish she was on Raw because then you could have her work with Paul and she could help learn how to be a heel properly.
I think Pritchard will be okay with her, though.
Maybe. I mean, because she does fit into the WWE mold, so yeah, I could see Pritchard working with her fine. If guys didn't work in the WWE system, that was when Pritchard was no help to them whatsoever.
So AEW, we're not going to get into a big elaborate conversation. I just want to hear from you, Maddie. Your first show in Philadelphia. Tell me about the crowd experience that you had with AEW.
Well, the crowd was very lively for a lot of the, let's just call them the silly spots.
Yeah.
Obviously. There was 2 jack-offs in the background chanting NXT the entire time. Someone actually threatened to beat them up, and they stopped talking after that. And pretty much what I got from it was it's definitely a lot of there were a lot of kids there.
Okay.
So there was a kid who actually cosplayed as Orange Cassidy too.
Okay.
And
it's interesting.
So
I'm impressed.
yeah, considering the fact he knows who Orange Cassidy is.
Yeah.
But anyway, what I would say is that it was a cool experience minus the heckling. But
Yeah.
other than that, though, I mean, I think the crowd was very lively for the experience. Dark had nobody there. Like, the arena was barely even full for it. So, but that's to be expected. That's your syndicated whatever.
Right.
You know. But it filled up pretty quick. And when Kenny came out, oh, my God. You might as well. The roof almost blew off the place when he showed up. It was unbelievable. I think the only person who got a bigger pop was probably Cody. That was it. Dustin got a real big pop.
Yeah.
For that. So the experience was fun. I would say it's a fun environment. It's very different from a WWE crowd, obviously. It's very much, I would say, it still feels like an indie show, which, to be fair, this may get you a little bit of heat on it, but I think AEW needs to try and get rid of that, in my opinion. No offense to the indie crowd, but there's a lot of stupid shit that the indie crowd likes that AEW may get in a lot of trouble for if they continue doing it. You know, that's at least credibility-wise. So, and as terms of those, there wasn't too many spots that were not credible during the show. They're more at AEW Dark that they did those spots. They kept it off TNT, which I give them a lot of credit. They did not go to that route. So I'll give them that one. They kept the credible spots on TNT. They kept the silly shit they did on Dark. So, like, all right, that's fine. They kept it separated.
Yeah, my kind of instant reaction to it, since we're kind of pressed for time, what I liked about this week and what I have seen is they are finally starting to build their own
identity. Yeah.
Well, their own characters.
Yeah.
I thought Darby Allin came out of this looking like $1 million against Jericho. I really enjoyed that matchup. I thought he looked very, very strong in his defeat. Clearly, Jericho is a very generous guy in terms of, helping to build talent. And this is the contrast of what he should have been doing in WWE as opposed to opening WrestleMania and losing to Fandango. There's a way to build this talent and still put the right guy over. And I think that's where WWE missed on a lot of Jericho's kind of later runs. But I enjoyed that Jungle Boy looked great. Even Marco Stunt. Some people shit on him being in the match on the internet. I was fine with it. I liked the little spots that he did. I thought that they were entertaining. Lucha Bros, interesting seeing them working as the heels. But I'm very invested in I think the Lucha Bros might be the best tag team in the world. So, that's my opinion. So I was I'm very intrigued by them and seeing them work as the heels now.
And since the Young Bucks are not in the tournament, I'm probably going to say they're probably going to win them. They're probably going to win the belts.
I think it would be great. Other than that, some story advancement, obviously. The tag match with Moxley and Pac and Hangman and Omega to me was just to build to the next week's show to get Pac and Moxley.
Ironically enough, though, out of all the matches I saw that night, that was probably my favorite one.
Okay.
Yeah, because
it's good.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it was a big juice because Moxley was in the match. And, during the commercial break, he actually said, yeah, this is what we call a commercial break. We got to pay the bills.
Yeah.
But he said, but this is Philadelphia. We didn't come here to wait. We came here to fight. And then the whole crowd just freaking lost their minds.
Love that.
So, and everybody chanted CZW, by the way, when he rolled out.
There
Which
you go.
is kind of expected. But, But yeah, I mean, overall, I think that was my favorite match only because I got a chance to see Hangman Page again, and I'm so invested in his future, because I'm like, my God, this guy has got it, and the only two disappointing things of that whole show is that Luchasaurus wasn't there, which was kind of annoying for me, but, well, if he's got an injury, he's got an injury. Secondly, MJF didn't wrestle, which I and he didn't really cut a promo or anything. I'm like, you're going to keep...
He was in a video package for Cody.
Which
was a great produced package, by the way.
And they need to fix their audio because their audio was really piss poor in the arena.
In the arena?
It was bad. But, yeah, that's the two gripes I have with the show. You need more MJF, and you need Luchasaurus.
And it shocked me that they didn't have MJF, particularly because he did compete in CZW.
He did. Yeah, that's right. I forgot all about that.
I was actually on his very first show.
No, that's right.
CZW 18 was his CZW show.
But
his debut. Frank Vespi over here says Orange Cassidy was at the Boston show. He says I came from the rafters talking about because Andy said where the hell did Vespi come from? He said Darby looked great. Sadly, my skateboard to Judas Effect prediction didn't happen. I would have loved to have seen that spot. He says he was impressed with Scorpio without shoes. I was impressed by that too. And his final prediction for the tag tournament is Lucha Bros versus SCU. Yeah, good show overall. They're getting there. They're building it. They're finding their identity, and I agree with that.
Oh, and by the way, when the best friends come out, it's literally like the Titantron took an acid trip.
Yeah,
because it is the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
Quick other news points. Obviously, just your real quick reaction. Pritchard replacing Eric Bischoff. Bischoff took the high road in this. I know him and Pritchard are buddies, so... Your opinion on that?
Vince wants a yes man?
I don't know. There's a lot about Bischoff that came out that seems to have come out. I mean, it's all rumor and innuendo, but it sounds like he left early a lot of times. He did not take the time to get to know about the talent. He did worry more about the production side. And aside from the really big, well-known names, he didn't take time to really learn about the talent, which, he does have more of a mindset of a production now, and he said that even when he was in WCW, he wasn't the creative guy. So apparently that seemed to rub people the wrong way, and he was really big on Corbin. So that could explain a lot of why you saw a lot of with Corbin. But if what I read is true, doesn't shock me. One of the big rules is you don't leave the show early.
No. Not if you're in that kind of a position.
Or in any position.
Yeah.
I mean, there was heat that happened to Tyler Breeze for leaving a show early once for a legitimate reason. And he claimed he got permission to leave. I mean, it happens. But, I don't know. I mean, I don't think Bischoff has really been 100% in on pro wrestling aside from his own projects lately anyway. So, I like Pritchard. I think Pritchard could do a fine job. I don't think Pritchard is going to be necessarily a yes man, so we'll see.
I hope not.
And then last thing, the new show debuted on Fox. The reason we made we kept making the joke about the steal of the draft was they had Christian and Paige on there, and they had a couple of other things going. But I liked the show with Booker T and Renee. A couple things that were interesting that you had to get used to. That was the day Jalen Ramsey got traded to the Rams. So when you're watching FS1 and you're used to seeing like legitimately competed sports up, when you see breaking news pop up and you're like expecting to see Jalen Ramsey traded to the Rams for yada yada, and it's Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross got traded to SmackDown, you're like, oh, I got to get used to this stuff. They also did steal our hot tag segment. I'm not going to lie. They did. They stole our hot tag segment, but we're running with ours anyway. So
damn, WWE.
Check it starts in November. Check it out. Great show this week, fam. We appreciate you all over on anything. Twitter, Instagram, Periscope, Facebook, YouTube. Always drive the show. We love you guys. Maddie, who's our sponsor?
Our sponsor is Gibson Mayer LLC, your certified public accounts located at 301 Oxford Valley Road, New York, PA. Give them a call, 215-369-3300. Remember, folks, tax season will be back before you know it. So be ready, be prepared, and call Gibson Mayer.
Top of the hour, the real Triple H coming at you with Maddie and the boys, the Misfits. Until then, guys, we'll see you next week. Thanks to Specialized Physical Therapy, too. We love you guys. Our doctor, Dr. Paul Vidal. We'll talk to you next week.